Everyone. I'm Rowena Barrett. I'm the Executive Director of QUT Entrepreneurship. And this part of QUT was established in early 2019 to provide the opportunity for all QUT members, whether they're staff or students or part of our larger community, to engage in entrepreneurial action. And we aim to stimulate entrepreneurial action through programs, mentoring and events, whether that action is about building a new venture, solving a social problem, or making change in another's organisation as an entrepreneur. So today I'm talking to one of our entrepreneurial QUT alumni, and James Burnett is the co-founder of ORIGO Education, which is all about making maths meaningful for primary school children. Now, ORIGO, I understand, was founded over 25 years ago, and James has made it his mission to enrich the lives of primary school children here in Australia and further afield, and has done so for more than 800,000 children across 14 different countries. So James, entrepreneurship is the pursuit of opportunity beyond the resources currently controlled. So do you think that you're an entrepreneur?
Well, first of all, thank you, Rowena, for having me. Yes, I do see myself as an entrepreneur. I think to be an entrepreneur, you have to be a very creative thinker.
Yep.
And one thing that my job or career has afforded me is the opportunity to travel. And in the 25 or almost 30 years now that I've been traveling, I've always looked for things that are done differently. So, and I'm traveling, I'm talking internationally, but also domestically, you know, someone who has a unique product, unique service. So I always look for that. And like the other creative arts, whether you're learning to draw or paint or dance or sing, it is a skill. And I really believe that you can therefore learn that skill and you can practice that skill. And I can tell on myself, I've got a lot better at identifying those things over the years. And I'll come home and I'll share those ideas with my children or family members. And when you travel, there's so many ideas out there, and it sparks new ideas and, you know, great opportunities to bring to this market, if you like, because you're talking about, you know, resources beyond resources currently controlled, but, you know, in different markets, you've got to consider the markets as well. So, yeah, I do. To answer your question, I do consider myself an entrepreneur.
So you studied education at QUT, so primary education. Tell us the degrees that you did, because there was more than one when it came to your study.
Yeah, my first one was actually a diploma. So I went through as a primary school teacher and as a diploma of teaching. We were, I think, the last year of students for which, it might have been second last, for which that diploma was a 3-year course. So then it was changed to a bachelor and it was a 4-year course. So I went out and taught for a few years, and my friend and lecturer at that stage, Dr. Calvin Irons, he always encouraged me back to do more study. So I came back to do a Bachelor of Education, the 8 subjects. I studied that full time. I left teaching, took study leave. I was able to do all 8 subjects in mathematics education. And then I later started a master's and completed a master's. I said started because they encouraged me at QUT to turn that into a PhD. And I started down that route. At that stage, my business was already taking off, and I just could not give it the amount of attention that I needed to, you know, in a PhD situation. So the coursework, the master's by coursework, which I did, suited me fine. It was particularly good because, and it was a very exciting time in my life. I learned so much of mathematics education during that master's course because it was 8 subjects, and I was able to do all subjects on mathematics, even the core subjects. I was able to choose topics within the area of my interest, which was mathematics. I learned so much about mathematics in general, as opposed to a very narrow area like doing a PhD. You know, so I think that answers your question. I did those 3 courses of study, if you like.
Okay, and then what was the opportunity that you saw that has led to ORIGO?
There's a long answer to that. When I was at university, my lecturer was Dr. Calvin Irons and his wife Rosemary Irons too. I had both of them. And they showed me a new way to learn and therefore teach mathematics. Not the way I learned, wouldn't be the way you learned, Rowena, or and sadly to say, probably not the way most people watching this video has learned. We all learn mathematics very abstractly, very symbolically. It required memorization of rules and procedures. It was the quiet subject of the day. You didn't get time to communicate or collaborate with your co-learners. Not much opportunity to put your hands on things, to develop mental images, you know. So that's what it was like. And Calvin showed me this other way, and I just remember all the pennies dropping, so to speak. I mean, he helped me at university. I was getting connections. I was learning connections between concepts at that age, which I should have understood, a decade earlier. So I gravitated towards that, as opposed to something like the English subjects which were being taught at university. We weren't taught how to teach reading. Back then it was the whole language approach to teaching English and reading. I couldn't lay my hat on that. I needed something more, developmental and even tangible, if you like. So I gravitated to mathematics, and I realised when I got out there in the workforce that, the teachers weren't teaching that way. They were still doing it the way we all learned. Sad to say. I think some of the best graduates or best teachers at young people like myself are those who came. I'm not just saying this because of QUT. I'm saying this mostly because of Calvin. Calvin and Rosemary taught hundreds of students over the decades. They're both retired now, and those teachers, if you talk to any of those past students of his, that they gave us a great grounding in that subject of mathematics. So I knew there was a void, if you like, and it was just how are we going to deliver those aha moments that I received at university? How are we going to deliver those to a market? And the market is Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, globally. So that's how it all sort of started off. Okay,
and you tried out some of those concepts on the children that you were teaching?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I had lots of guinea pigs. So some of the ideas in a less structured sense was when I was teaching full time, because I had multiple subjects to teach, and this is a challenge that primary school teachers have. It's all very difficult to teach upwards of 30 children in all different curriculum areas. So fortunately, you're not really a specialist in anything. But when I went back to full-time study at QUT, it afforded me the opportunity to go and teach 1 day a week in schools to keep my thumb in it, so to speak. And I did that for 1 or 2 days a week for many years, actually. So as I started developing the products, I would be trialing them in the classrooms, and I had the reputation of being the math person. So the teachers and certainly administrators of that school I went to, they were very supportive of me doing that. And I had the opportunity to teach, mathematics in the morning, in the middle session and the afternoon session to all different grades. So I had lots of interactions with many, many students. So it was great. I really enjoyed it.
But the business that you founded was with Calvin, is that right?
Yes,
a story
correct.
About a barbecue.
A barbecue?
A barbecue in your backyard where you agreed to.
Well, it was. I don't know. It was. We had many barbecue. It wasn't my backyard. It was Calvin's backyard. So, I actually moved in with Cal and Rosie after some time, because we were working 6 days a week, writing for another publisher, up to the point when we started the company in 1995, Well, Cal saw the writing on the wall. He was worried that the small entrepreneurial company he was writing for, and we were writing for out of Melbourne, that they would sell one day, and then we would lose the ability to dictate what materials we wanted to write and what was more appropriate for schools. So he out of that afternoon session, drinking wine and having a barbecue at his house, it was decided that we should do this ourselves, and we started picturing what that might look like. And one of the ideas we had, we're just bouncing ideas off each other. And we want to do publishing, and we want to do professional learning for teachers. And I remember saying this, that it would be nice if the sun never goes down on ORIGO. So we didn't have the ORIGO name back then, but it was just, we want to start this company. It'd be nice if the sun never goes down on ORIGO, or on the company, which means, we're across multiple time zones. Wherever you are in the world, the sun's always shining somewhere on an office of ours. And we've almost got there. We have an office in the US and Australia and in Thailand now, in Chiang Mai, and Canada, which is the same time zone as the US. But we got to go more, you got to head more west or east, whichever way you look at it. We'd like to develop bases in maybe the Middle East there somewhere, and then eventually England. So there's a lot to be done yet.
Yeah. And so that journey then, it was essentially you and Kelvin. How did you move beyond that? How did you build up a team around you and find customers?
Yeah. So it came from opportunity, I guess. I mean, I was a one-man show for many years. So we started in 1995. One of my early goals, business objectives, was that I had to develop, print X number of products a year to create a book bag. And we did this. I did this. So Cal had a full-time job. He was a senior lecturer at QUT in the education department. And when he wasn't when he wasn't teaching, he was writing for this other publisher. So it was mostly me. What he brought to the party was his content knowledge. So he knew mathematics. He also knew the market. He knew what teachers needed because he had been delivering professional learning for teachers for many years. So he knew that. And he knew somewhat about publishing just through his interactions with the other publisher. So I brought this young, enthusiastic, can-do attitude, which most people in their 20s have, a willingness to learn. Yeah. And I was also one of 9 children, so I was naturally competitive. And I had this, I don't mind saying, I had a pretty good emotional IQ. I could therefore, because of my upbringing, I could communicate with people very well. And I actually could, I didn't know at the time, but I think I had a knack for inspiring others. So somewhere in the early 2000s then, I got my first employee. So it wasn't so much we as in Cal and I doing this. That was me at the stage. So my first employee was someone who I'd contracted to do design covers, of my books and things like that. So I actually offered him, I ran into him, it was totally by chance. We were on a beach together up at Mooloolaba, I think. And, we're there, our standing with our board shorts on the edge of the water, lapping our feet. And I ended up saying, because I had been thinking about it, would you like a full-time job? And he took it right then and there. There was no interview back then. It was all very casual. So that was my first employee, if you like. That's how that got started. Oh man, that would have been 2003 it was. Okay. 2003. And then the company grew out of opportunities. So we're I'm on a tangent now. We're in opportunity right now because it's pandemic, but there was an opportunity on the horizon. In 2004, the Queensland government released a new mathematics syllabus. I think it was 2004 by memory. And that previous syllabus was the longest running syllabus in the history of education. It was previous, it had like a 1985 or 83 date on it. So in those 20 plus years, DVDs had come and almost gone. I mean, not quite, but CDs pretty much had, but there's certain technologies come and gone. Yeah. When that curriculum was written back in that era, no DVD players were around, no CD players. I don't know if the Sony Walkman had just made its debut. Microwave ovens, Mum didn't even have a microwave oven. So, there's so much wasn't around in technology. So that syllabus was coming out, and Cal being such a well and highly respected individual on the at QUT, he was asked to be on the committee for developing the outcomes-based mathematics curriculum that was going to be new to Queensland. And with that came so many new areas of mathematics which the previous syllabus had no mention of. Right. No mention of mental strategies for computation, No mention of algebra. My goodness, you didn't teach algebra in primary school, So there's an opportunity there, and we developed this mathematics program. This is where Cal came to his own. He was the driving force behind the content of this. I drove what it should look like and feel like, and it was a great opportunity. Up until that stage, there was 13, I will call student books, workbooks, activity books, your listeners might know them as, on the market in Queensland alone. 13. When we released ours, it was called Go Maths. Maybe some of your listeners here today will remember the Go Maths era, because we've got 76% of the market. We knocked out all the workbooks apart from like 3 others. There was only 4 of us left. So it was an incredible era where we would I would go, it wasn't we, it was me going around to schools doing professional learning and showing them, well, this is what's happening. So I was being very informant, like, this is what's happening in the Queensland syllabus. Let's look at what that outcome means. Let's break that down. There was an algebra one. They're going, oh, I don't know. I've never done this before. And I said, no, it's easy. Just do this or this. And I'd show them something, and, it'd be linked back to a resource, of course. And so it was always a case of, it wasn't who's going to buy Go Maths. It was, when will they buy? If I had an opportunity to get in front of them, they'd always buy. It was a tremendous time. We sold more teacher guides than there are teachers in Queensland.
Right.
I don't know what they were doing with them. They were, obviously, the teachers themselves, even though schools bought them, they must have hoarded them when they went from one school to the next, thinking they might not get it. So the school had to rebuy them. And prior to Go Maths, there weren't teachers' guides. The teachers' component was an answer key for the workbooks. So those answer books were given away. They gave the teacher's guide away because there's only an answer key, Here I decided, let's charge $100 for them. $100 per teacher for a teacher's guide this thick, which is very comprehensive. We called it a core maths program, and they could not buy enough of them. So there was an opportunity there.
Yeah.
Beyond that, there's an opportunity with the Australian curriculum. It came a little later on, and then the US national curriculum. The first ever time the US had a national curriculum, just like the Australian national curriculum, our first ever time. So there's an opportunity there. So we're the first to develop a core maths program solution for Queensland schools. A core solution, I'm saying, that means teacher's guide, everything. And then a core solution for the Australian curriculum. And that was all online then, because that came later. So the teachers get all their content across all grades. Even from a grade 3 teacher, I get all grade content online, because it's online, where you leverage the technology. And then we're the first to develop the US core program for the core, their national curriculum, if you like. So that's a message there for your listeners. You really need to try and get in early when there's an opportunity, be the first. And this pandemic is offering lots of opportunities if you're prepared to look right now.
Absolutely. And that's quite key, that, yes, it's a terrible time, but that doesn't mean it has to be terrible for everyone. There is upsides to this, quite considerable ones that can be.
Yeah, well, you need to, it is a terrible time, but then that's why it's up to people like the entrepreneurs of the world to help make it easier. Yeah. It's not going to solve itself. It needs people to go in there and find solutions for people. You need those creative thinkers who can do that.
Yeah, that's right. So how many people do you employ now?
Oh, gee whiz. I wouldn't even know. It's probably around close to 90, I suspect. At its peak, we just got over 100. We're about 90. We've managed to hold on to everyone in this pandemic. Thank goodness. But it's been tough. We lost our market within 2 or 3 weeks. 90% of our revenue comes from the US, and the districts over there, the school districts, they're not individual schools, so they're held by, a district could be one school if it's small, but it could be 1,000 schools. So the districts close their doors early, early for the year, usually close, end of May, June. Yeah. And they had to close up, of course, so we just lost our market pretty much overnight. And in Australia, we, almost the same, because although they say the schools weren't closed, anyone who was there wasn't interested in buying mathematics resources, and they certainly didn't want professional learning when the teachers themselves weren't there. So it really affected us in the short term immediately. So, we just had to pivot though. There's an opportunity there. What do they need now? Well, they need learning materials at home. So I think you mentioned now before, our mission is to make mathematics meaningful and enjoyable and accessible to all. So part of that equation is the parents.
Yep.
When you say all, and it is an area where we had done a little in the past, but compared to what we're doing now, we were kidding ourselves. So, now we in 2 weeks, because I got half my team's in the US and half's here, we were able to develop this an at-home solution, ORIGO at home. It's all free, and it does not require parents to give us their email addresses. We just want people to log in and get this content and teach their children at home in a structured manner. So a lot of companies, what we were seeing, all they're doing, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's the right thing for them to do. They're often making their content freely available. So just putting it online. Here, grab it now. But give me your login so they can email you later. That doesn't go unnoticed. But also, their solution would have been a solution to a problem pre-coronavirus. It's not necessarily the right solution in this situation. So when we were able to create, be the first, and I think we're still the only ones, to create an at-home solution, for this situation we're in, it's by far better. And the last time I looked, we had, in the 6 digits in terms of number of people who are touching our pages. I can't say logging in because they don't have to log in, but we can look through the Google Analytics and see what's being used. So it's a large number of individuals. I don't even know if they're parents. They might be teachers, but parents, I'm sure as well. So there's an opportunity for us to open that market up for in the future. And we're already working on the next version or next generation of at home. Yeah. We don't want to call it anything to do with at home because everything's at home at the moment because of the pandemic, and that has negative connotations. So once we get out of this, we'll have a different name for it. But we have to try and better connect parents to what's happening in the classroom, with another product. So there's some good to come of it.
Yeah, and certainly in the area of maths, people are very confident saying, "Oh, I can't do maths."
Isn't that funny, Rowena? That people will say that. They'll never say, "Oh, I was never very good at reading."
No.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But you'll have adults say, "Oh, I was never very good at maths," and they'll just brush it off and they'll walk away.
Yeah.
But they don't say, "I was never very good at reading or writing." That'd be embarrassing for them. So it's interesting.
Yeah. So opening it up for parents who can speak knowledgeably with their children to help them out, is an incredible advantage.
It's a big part of it, that maths anxiety. Because the parents themselves have anxiety, they got, sad to say, many of their experiences learning maths themselves, wasn't positive. So they don't come to the table, and now it's literally coming to the dinner table, to help, with positive attitudes with their child's either homework or learning at home, 2 different things. So it just creates this vicious cycle, doesn't it? And then the child hears mum or dad say, "I was never very good at maths." "Oh, go ask your mother, go ask your father," and they think, "Oh, it's okay not to be good at maths." Yeah. And that's just not right. Yeah. We have to remedy that. Absolutely,
because it underpins where the world's going.
Everything we do. I've just been asked today to write an article on mathematics that we use in our everyday life and how it just surrounds us. We don't even realise just how much mathematics we use in everyday life, and you just need to have it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So in putting the business together, what sort of resources did you draw on? Where did you find, other than customers, where did you find the financial resources? Where did you find the market knowledge?
Yeah, as I said, Cal had market knowledge, good, strong market knowledge. At that stage, he had already been working in schools. He was about my age now, so I'm 50. He was about 50 years old, I guess, when we started this. So he had been working in schools, 20, 30 years. So he had a good working knowledge of the Australian market. And because he was recruited by QUT, it was then BCAE, he was recruited by BCA in the early 1970s. He was recruited from America. So he had a working knowledge of the US market as well.
Yeah.
So that's what he brought to that table. Financially, we didn't need a lot to start up. So Cal and I just contributed 50-50 each. It's always been a 50-50 split. So that's our financial resourcing, if you like. He had the market, but I was learning that because I was a teacher. So I was the most recent teacher. So I had a feel for what we as users, consumers needed, in the teaching area. He had an experience in publishing only as an author, but because it was a small entrepreneurial company he worked with, much smaller than we are now, but because it was small, he was able to work closely with other, with designers and editors, and you get a good feel for how it all worked, which is, that's invaluable. And then I got a bit of that as well, because I started, when I was studying my Bachelor of Education, I started writing with him, and I got to work closely with that publisher and another publisher as a result of this. It was Rigby as well. So it was Mimosa Publications, was a small entrepreneurial company, and then there was Rigby, who they sold products to. So it was, we had all our bases covered, except I would say for business itself.
Yeah.
We did not have, Cal had no business experience to my knowledge. I had no business experience. My dad was in business, but I wasn't exposed to that. That wasn't ever a conversation around the table at night. So I did not know that. So I never really got it either. It wasn't until 1995 when I started the company, and my closest friend, my good friend even today, he bought a crane business. So just a one crane, very small business. So he bought that, and he started the same year. So I had someone I can bounce ideas off, and we were like mentors for each other, because we saw each other regularly, and the same sort of challenges. They're business challenges. It doesn't matter whether you make maths books or sell a service like as lifting heavy things. But we still had similar, challenges, and we were able to enjoy the good times too. But I never had a mentor. Right. And if I had any advice to anyone, it would be, you have to find a mentor and find someone from day dot. You really need to have someone who's been there and done that. And most people, your listeners, you probably already know this, but most people who have been there and done that, you'd be amazed what they'd be willing to offer up for a cup of coffee and a dinner, or just a piece of cake. I mentor someone, so someone's reached out to me, and she's in educational publishing, and she catches up. I don't hear from her, I don't reach out to her. She just calls out every now and then. I might hear her twice a year, and she takes me around the corner, we have coffee and cake or something, and she gets a notebook out and she just picks my brains, and I love that. I have something to share, and I know I'm not unique. There's many other people like that. I just wish I had someone. I wish I had the foresight to ask. I know about a decade ago, it got a bit hard for me, and I ended up paying to join an executive group on a monthly basis. I found that tremendously helpful. So that was really good, and they were like-minded people, entrepreneurs, and all very different industries. There's no competition between any of us, but all very different industries. But man, all the same sort of problems. We got to know each other. I still keep in touch with a couple of those members now, but I haven't been in that group for 7 years, something like that. So you need a network, if not an individual, better still a network of people you can lean on, who might have certain strengths that, this is a distribution. I need to go speak to someone who's done this in distribution, or this is a technology issue. I need to speak to this individual, So,
Yeah, and that's a lot of what we do at QUT as well. It's about building that community. So you have others around you who are all doing completely different things, but you share an interest that you can talk about, and it literally can be, you've done that. What did you do? How did you do it? And it might not be the way in which you want to do it, but it gives you a point to, a way of thinking about it. We also have entrepreneurs in residence who provide mentoring for students
Yeah.
as well, and push them about. Are you thinking of this? Why are you thinking of this? How will it unfold?
It's someone to play devil's advocate, isn't it? I like that idea, but have you thought of this? What about that? And you just challenge their line of thought. And sometimes, you can, obviously not just sometimes, it's you also offering up ideas as well. So, that'll be most helpful, I'm sure, for your students.
And you apparently do it at home with your kids as well. You talk about business.
Yeah, see, my first baby was my business, and it's my biggest baby now, if you like. Jessica didn't come along till 1998. She got her business degree through QUT. She just graduated last year. She works for us and she's in the finance department, but she's always just wanted to do her own business. So working for ORIGO is really just to gain experience. It's a stepping stone, if you like. And, she's ventured into textiles and tried, her own line of clothing. She only at the design stage, just concept stage too. So she hasn't gone any further with that. She's getting cold feet on that, which I'm happy about because I think it's too competitive. But so I was sort of encouraging her to try, and it wasn't me that said, look, give it a go. But, I just think it's a very tough industry to be in. She will do something, I have no doubt about it. She's very excited. And then my son, Jack, just today, he's 20 years old. So when he gets home here in a minute, he has to wire money overseas because he's importing a container of products. I can't say much more, but he's now a sole trader and he's starting up his own business. And then my youngest, Gemma, she's in year 11. And she wants to follow my footsteps, for better or for worse. So she wants to be a primary school teacher, but really first and foremost, she wants to be a business woman. And she sees that what I have is a unique a product, if you like, and service. So it's a niche, and if she could follow in that market, she's a great speaker. So she decided to start her own YouTube channel. So it's called Gemstone's Elementary Math. And she teaches children of primary school age. So student teaches year 11, student teaching students mathematics conceptually. Fortunately, she's got Dad who can vet all the videos to make sure, yes, that's the right message, or no, you have to do that again, Gemma. So we talk about ideas of what she could do, and she goes and sort of writes a bit of a script. She'll come back to me and say, what do you think? And I'll give it another eye over it. And then she goes and she does it all herself. She edits the videos on Camtasia, I think's the name of the thing she uses. But her idea is to with that experience, it might help her get into universities such as yours, or wherever I'll take her. And if they look at that, not just academic results. She's really being a little entrepreneur, and she already has something like 700 followers, and she only just started recently.
Yes.
So, it's a great opportunity for her.
Absolutely. And this is part of the joy, really, of technology, that you can start, you can do these things, you can just have a go. Really, that's all we ask. Have a go. See what you can learn.
Those words there, it's funny, have a go. That was my driving force, really, because I told I'm one of 9 siblings. And Dad would always say, you don't know unless you give it a go.
Yeah.
So he would never be cranky at us as long as we tried. Sorry. I don't know why it's calling through my computer. He would never be cranky if we gave it a go, but if we didn't try, we'd be punished. So you say, how do you know unless you try? That was the attitude. And I guess that was my attitude with this, with the company. I never really thought too much of, will I be able to, I'll get there someday. It's more of a case of I never thought I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying. I sort of had that mentality, brought up 4 years of that teaching from Dad. And if I just keep doing it, I'll get there, So I never thought long picture like, I'm going to be living in this beautiful house up on the mountain somewhere, with, 500 employees raking in X millions. I didn't think that way. It was like, if I just keep doing this day to day and I keep trying, I will succeed. eventually. And that was just my attitude. And so what you said resonates with me. I think if we all just take that attitude, we'll get there eventually.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. So in the business, do you look for others who share those same sort of values as you?
Oh, yes, I guess. I value candor. I need people to be open with me and don't hold your cards close to your chest. So I'm very upfront. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. You know what you're going to get with me. I value creative thinking, enthusiasm, positive attitudes. I don't want negativity. I don't want a yes person either. I want someone who pushes back, but I want you to think that you can do this. Don't say, no, it can't be done, and then try and figure out, how you're going to do it. Tell me, yes, it can be done, and figure out how you can do it. And that's what I look for. At the end of the day, you hire people on their skill set. When you do that, they're competing with other people with the same skill set. So first and foremost for me is their personality. As CEO, I still interview everyone. It's at the end. I make sure that their new boss interviews first, and it will go through 3 or so checks before it gets to me. But I'm just doing a conversation with them at the end. It's less of an interview because I just want to see that they're going to fit in. Yeah. Because you can upskill them in their area of expertise if necessary, but I can't transplant the personality. If they can fit in with the team that you have, you can move mountains. If they can't, you're pushing it uphill. There's just no way. So what's my advice then to your listeners? High emotional EQ. All right, you need to be able to communicate well. If you can communicate collectively, you and your team can solve any problem. But if you can't communicate, you're not going to get a job of the future, and you yourself as an entrepreneur won't be able to communicate with your future employees. Communication is it. You have to be able to do that.
Yeah. So if we come back to this environment that we're in at the moment, with the pandemic, clearly you've had to manage your staff who are separated and in different parts of the world, from where you are at the moment. You've had to worry about customers. What are some of the other things that you've had to do to manage through this period? What are the other ways in which you've pivoted or changed?
Well, the biggest management through this current crisis, if you like, is just managing the emotions of the staff. They're all fearing for their job, and I don't blame them. I certainly, when this first hit, I was expecting, planning for the worst at least. We didn't know where it was going to go. But as I said, we managed to keep everyone on board, but helping them, keeping well communicated. Again, communication is key. So, and when half my staff are in the US, this is a big challenge. Now, ordinarily, I'd be traveling 10 times a year. So I'd be over there, 3 weeks at a time. So a big chunk of time over there with my employees, but I can't travel. I may not be able to travel next year. So very early on, I instigated a voice memo. So I wanted to be a voice memo rather than this medium. I could record like this and send it out, but I just wanted to I didn't want to worry about what I looked like at the time. I just wanted to talk, and also enabled me to have some notes in front of me. And I send that out on a weekly basis. Every Thursday or Friday, I send that out to let everyone know where we're at. Just keep them totally abreast of where we're at and full transparency. And oh my goodness, I got so many positive comments from that. I just inundated with positive vibes and comments and emails and texts and everything. And I was so appreciative of that. And we didn't do one last week because we had our town hall meeting, which happens every couple of months. So this week again, I'll have to deliver one of those and say exactly where we're at. So that's been the biggest challenge. It wasn't moving everyone out of the office. We did that a week ahead of when others were speaking about it. We got them home well ahead of the curve. Again, we were, that was much appreciated. So it wasn't that. It was really just managing them as they watch their news and see what's happening, and that their friends and their family and their husbands and their wives lose their jobs. What's going to happen to my job? So, and there was a period there where I did not know, so I just had to tell them. You just have to be fully transparent. There's no reason to hide that. Some of my C team, if you like, would sometimes question and say, "Oh, maybe you shouldn't be sharing that," but no, they need to know. It doesn't hurt for them to know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it's that piece, that if you're open and authentic, that you show that you trust people by, communicating with them in that way, then they will return that trust.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I have to tell you, it's a little hint. A voice memo that'll be another tip. Use that at some stage if you have to. It was actually recommended to me by one of my board members. He said, "Why don't you try this?" I went, "Oh, that sounds brilliant." So I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just conscious of the time that we've got here, but what have you learnt about yourself on this journey that you've been on?
Over the 25 years, you mean, or just recently?
Yeah, over the 25.
Over 25 years? Oh, wow, that's a good question, isn't it? I think just like Dad always told me, if they give it a go, you don't know until you give it a go. So I try my hand at everything, and it's worthwhile trying it. I don't succeed at everything, but it's certainly worthwhile trying it. So Dad was always right. What else? Oh man, I've learned that I don't really have an appetite for management. And I'm going to be stepping down as CEO. I don't mind sharing that. So I really want to remain customer focused, customer faced, if you like. And I want to remain creative. So, being involved in the development of the products, being more involved in social media. I am now heavily, but during this pandemic, I had to, drop my attention from that and focus on the company itself. So in the early on in the piece, it was pretty easy to manage people because you're a very small company. We're all rubbing shoulders. We went social distancing and all rubbing shoulders in the room, working on the projects together. And I didn't feel like a boss. In fact, I remember when my first employee took out the team for a staff lunch and I wasn't invited. I was shattered. I was absolutely shattered. And I asked him, "Why didn't you invite me?" He said, "Oh, he thought that it might have intimidated them or something like that." And I thought, "Really? I'm just one of you guys. I'm not the boss. I'm one of you guys." I just like getting there and getting it done. I like to build things, make things. That's what I like. So I've certainly learned that over the years. I want to keep doing that. That's my love.
Yeah. Okay. So if we were to end with some advice for students and those who are considering perhaps, and they're the nascent entrepreneurs, they might not know it yet, what would be the advice that you would give them?
Well, number one is first and foremost, and I've already shared it, it's that important. You've got to get a mentor.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to elaborate on that. We probably talked about that enough. So get a mentor. Second one is innovate, don't imitate. Yeah. You have to be the first to do A, B, and C in your area. Be the first. Lead the industry. You will get the early adopters, and the early adopters will help you get the next crew, the next group. So definitely imitate. I can share stories of other publishers just blatantly ripping off my ideas, and it's although it's a sign of that they value what we do. I do not value people just using someone else's idea rather than your own. So do that, and you will lead the pack, and the consumers will come to you as a result. And the third one is figure out your exit strategy before you even get started. Yeah. So as you're trying to formulate the structure for your venture, you have to consider your exit strategy at that stage, because depending on you want to hold this company for, past the end of your children, if you want to, bring on more partners in the future, the structure, the way you get out, if you want to get out, will determine how you set it up. And I never did that. So when we sold a minority share to a private equity firm in 2015, we had to do a lot of changes to our structure to enable that to happen.
Yeah.
That's a very, very costly procedure. You don't want that cost. So if you can avoid it, I mean, things change, I know that, but if you can avoid that, do so. Give it some thought up front. I never did. I just got into it and started getting the job done. I had no foresight about what am I going to do at the end of this process. Yeah. So they're my three, Rowena. Yeah. My big three: a mentor, innovate, don't imitate, and think about your exit strategy before you get started.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's all very pertinent advice, and particularly the last one. Some people think, oh, that's odd. Why would I think about leaving before I've gotten going? But you're right. If you don't think about it, then you don't structure what needs to happen.
Yeah. And also, if you have that, if that's your exit strategy, that's part of your goals. You're moving towards that point. Yeah. Now, the point in time may move, but you still have to get certain things in place. You might be trying to get your EBITDA to a certain level, or whatever. You've got to get certain things in place before you can exit. So that should be one of your goals.
Yeah, and it's a little bit like taking funding as well. When you take funding, you put yourself on a particular path, and you need to understand it before you do that, and work out how that path will unfold. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. All right. Well, James, thank you very much. This has been a very interesting conversation, and there's a lot in here that I think the students will be able to learn as a result. You're one of our alumni who is taking and applying that real world learning that we do at QUT, and in applying that, you are making such a difference to those who come behind, which is what we wish for all our students and our alumni, to go out there and help change the world and make it a better place, and be building the jobs, industries and organisations of the future, and you're certainly at the forefront of doing that.
That's what it's about, isn't it? It's making the world a better place, and we can all play our part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So thank you very much, James. We'll be talking with some more of our entrepreneurial alumni, but I really do appreciate the time that you've spent with me this afternoon, and
you're welcome.
Yeah, sharing it with the rest of our community.